Hello, Rob here from the Flanagan Homestead, here for a quick update on the herbicide spray that we sprayed extra early. I'm not in my normal work clothes, just got done teaching school, and I got the shades on, and there's sunshine on March 22nd here in Western Washington. Amazing. It's been, we're getting to that time of the year where it's been raining for 6 months or so now, but we have a nice sunny day. Anyway, it's March 22nd. Normally we wouldn't do our herbicide spraying that we do until later than this. We did this that you see in the field here just a couple weeks ago. We went extra early because our plan was to knock down, you can see the brown over here on this side. This is what we sprayed where we have a couple acres of new trees that are planted out in the hayfield. Back on the other side you can see some of the established trees, mostly farmed out because we've sold most of our trees. But there's not too many bigger established ones back there in the previous 5 acres. We're out here just doing a quick update. As I mentioned in the other video, I sprayed earlier so it's less effective. I sprayed really light, very dilute, because I didn't want to kill all the fresh plant seedlings in here. And I accidentally didn't have the rate that was spraying out of the quad just exactly right, so I was only getting 3 tankfuls down when I should have been getting 4, so it's even more dilute. So we're just coming to check and see how well we did, and so I'm happy to see that we're getting a lot of browning. Now obviously if I had sprayed later in the spring or early summer, 2 weeks, it should just be dead and dried out. But as I mentioned, it's just been raining and cold. It's been in the 30s every night. I don't think it's been freezing much since we sprayed, but it's been in the 30s, and so the temperatures have been between 35 and 45 and raining the whole time, so the weeds don't dry out really fast. But I'm pleased to see that we're knocking back a lot of the grass in this hayfield here. And the reason we sprayed extra early, you could spray right up until the time that the trees bud out. You could spray right over the top of the trees without damaging, so they say. You always need to be careful when you're spraying over the top of your trees. But we sprayed extra early because we want this to get dying back, because as I mentioned before, instead of having the weeds and the grass, well, we wanted grass, but we're getting weeds in the rows. We're trying to just wipe out everything except for Christmas trees this year. We've avoided chemicals for years, but it's time to get back in order. So we're trying to wipe that out, but as thick as the grass was in this old hayfield and the weeds in some of the other places, we needed to spray early and get this to die down so that now, before the trees bud out, we can come back in and do a soil sterilant. And the reason we wanted this down is get that grass out of there so the sterilant gets a nice even spread on the ground as we spray it. So that is the game plan. And we're going to take a closer look on how the weeds are doing. I can tell you, as I've walked through here, I've seen that a lot of the grass, the finer grass, is dying out really well. But if I look at some of the broadleaf weeds, a lot of that isn't dying back as much as I'd like yet. So we may have to spray another herbicide with our sterilant, and then that gets a little bit trickier when you do that. But you can mix some in the same tank and go from there. Here, we'll try to get a closer look. The sun is going down, so the sunlight's coming in horizontally. You can see my long shadow over there. I hope we could still get a good view of this, but the grass you can see is really browning up and dying. But if you look at the broadleaf weeds where they're in there, they seem to be holding on and not dying out, so we may have to come back. Here you can see this broadleaf right here is turning a little bit more red, so hopefully we got enough to get all of those knocked out. Here's something that's not unusual. We planted these trees in the fall, and as it's rained 40 inches since we planted them, or 45 inches, the ground settles and the tree's starting to lean in a little bit. So before everything buds out, we might want to spend a day just getting these to stand more upright. And so most of them are pretty upright. You can see over here, they're doing good. But there's going to be a few that settle in, and the straighter you get them to stand before they go going on the growing season, the better off you are. One thing I want to make clear, whether you plan to kill all the grass and weeds and just have just trees and bare dirt, or if you want to have rows of grass or maybe clover growing in between the trees and just a strip killed for the trees, or maybe you don't kill anything at all and you just let the grass grow right up to the trees, that might be a little bit too much grass or competition growing in there. But I would recommend, and we weren't a good example of this last year because we got access to the hayfield late, or permission to the decision to do it late. But if you know where you're going to be planting trees months ahead of time, at the very least, kill the circle of grass where you're going to plant the trees months in advance, and let that be completely died out and no roots in the ground, and plant the trees in bare dirt. And if you want to let the grass grow in later or plant clover, that's great. Or if you want to do rows, but it's going to help your trees planting if you just at least have a 1.5-foot diameter circle killed and you're going to plant the tree right in the middle of that. That's the very least I would recommend, to have that killed before you plant. It makes planting go a lot easier. It helps your little seedlings survive better. So that's just a quick update on what's happening here at the farm in late March at the East Fork Christmas Tree Farms and the Flanagan Homestead. We will be putting sterilant down, maybe have to put some more herbicide down here in early April. But anyway, hopefully everything will go smooth. We do need rain right after we put sterilant down to help get it into the ground, but getting rain around here is usually not an issue. So thanks for joining me on the Flanagan Homestead, where Christmas trees are my business, teaching, including horticulture, is my job, and outdoor projects are my passion. Hope to see you again soon.